So Taulupe Faletau, aka Taulupe Faletau, is injured. One game back into his run from recovering from a broken arm, he has another broken arm. I wouldn't normally do a video on just a player getting injured. I mean, it happens every week. But the fact that he's missed so much rugby in the year just gone, and his comeback was a long time in the making, and then one game into it he has a recurrence of pretty much the same thing, is pretty devastating news for me, an All Blacks fan. For Wales fans, I'm sure you must be just... Yeah, I mean, he looked really good in his first game back as well. Champions Cup over the weekend against Wasps, had some kind of barnstorming runs. Somebody told me he was named in, the team of the week kind of thing. So for him to now be announced that he is out for 8 weeks, so most likely out of the Six Nations, they said he could possibly return for the final game. Yeah, it's pretty devastating news. So I really feel for the guy. He's worked pretty hard to get himself back into, playing condition. He's done all his bits, and his body's not playing ball. His body's let him down with another broken arm. I didn't notice it. I don't think anybody noticed it. The news only came out today, so I don't think anybody knew about it at the time. And maybe it's, 8 weeks. I guess it's not like a long-term injury. 8 weeks is only a couple months, so it's not the end of the world. But oh man, it's just pretty disappointing. It's more so for him and for Wales fans than for me over here in New Zealand. But still, man, I'm pretty gutted. I know most rugby fans of the game, will be pretty disappointed to see that. There's a few guys, kind of back rowers at the moment, who are out for Wales. I think Lydiat's out, and Moriarty's still got concussion. So more depth building for Wales in the upcoming Six Nations, I suppose. Perhaps long term it'll be a good thing. Somebody's doing some soaring. But yeah, pretty gutted. I was having a think what other players are injury prone, after I was thinking, how does this affect Wales Six Nations chances? I don't know, you guys will have to let me know what your thoughts are there. He's a pretty big player to be missing, British and Irish Lion. Kind of an all-star player to have in your back row, but he's out. So if you are a Wales fan, let me know your thoughts and how you think if at all this affects Wales' chances, because yeah, he is definitely an X-Factor player. But other players I was thinking of who are kind of injury prone or have had injury concerns in their career. The first guy that came to mind for me was David Pocock. Not so much with his neck injuries of late, but he has been having a few of them because, he gets over the ball, puts that big body down, and he does come into a bit of targeting for the clean out. So he gets injuries there. But I remember he had a full knee reconstruction after an injury, and then I don't remember how many games it was back into his comeback season, but it was early in the season. Might have been first game. A similar situation, and he was out with the same injury, and that was a season-ending injury, so worse than 8 weeks out, although he has just been on the sidelines for months now, so this is adding up as well. But yeah, David Pocock had a double knee issue. Had to have that rebuilt. Fingers crossed he's going to be all good going into the World Cup for the Wallabies, because you wouldn't really want to have him out. He's pretty much their best player. But his knees have been holding up for all of 2018 and so far. So, yeah, hopefully he stays fit. But it just made me think of him. I know in terms of arms, Billy Vunipola, he's had issues. How many times has he broken his arm? Like 3? 2 or 3 at least. He's had arm breaks. So, he's been back for Saracens as well. Hopefully he stays fit. Manu Tuilangi, seems to be a few guys for England, I suppose. But he seems to be kind of in the wars with injuries from time to time. You're kind of going to hope that going into a World Cup year, he gets on the fitness horse and manages to stay on it. Manages to stay fit. From a New Zealand perspective, I know Sonny Bill Williams this year just gone He missed half the season, if not more, with injuries. But he's getting to that age where, I think, what is he, 33? 32? 33? Maybe it's just getting to that age where your body doesn't recover like it used to, and he is a man who's known to not shy away from the contact, so that's always going to be part of it for him. And then, aside from kind of physical injuries to like the bones or muscles or ligaments and that kind of thing, concussion there's loads of guys. Like I mentioned Moriarty earlier. For New Zealand, it's often guys like Ryan Crotty. He seems to suffer quite a few concussions. Some guys, it gets to the point where they can't play anymore. Some guys just seem to be quite susceptible to it. And for New Zealand, Crotty is definitely one of those guys who suffers from it. And I know there are others. Those are just the guys that I wrote down off the top of my head. So you'll have to let me know. In terms of players, who is it that's out for the Six Nations that you would have liked to see him playing? Because, injuries lists are sometimes a hard thing to find. People don't just advertise them. You can easily find a current squad, and once all the squads are named, some of them have been named for Six Nations, but it doesn't always mention the guys that weren't considered due to injury. So who's out? And also, who else are the injury-prone guys going into a World Cup that we should be mindful of? Because I've just mentioned a few as well who seem to be just on the wrong end when they're with their body not cooperating sometimes. But yeah, I'm sure there are definitely a lot of other guys that I haven't mentioned. So you guys let me know who is out for Six Nations and who are you kind of keeping an eye on? Who are those guys that you're watching as they go into each tackle each week, just hoping that they get up quickly without too much trouble? Nihimil Nascada is another guy for New Zealand. When I see him play for the Hurricanes, when he's on his kind of comebacks, I always keep my eyes on him because I'm worried that this is going to be the tackle that you're going to see him holding his shoulder or something and he's not going to get back up. On the other end of the scale, there are guys who just seem to do the whole Iron Man thing and they just never go down. They never get injured, but sometimes that just seems to be a bit of luck. But yeah, like I said, you guys let me know your thoughts on Taulupe being out for the Six Nations. How do you think this affects Wales' chances? Other guys who are out that aren't going to be back for the Six Nations, and if you could, some guys that you think are perhaps just a wee bit injury prone, because leading into a World Cup, I'd kind of like to have this in mind, and it's an interesting conversation to have. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts. I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.